eyeballing that road. I used to hunt here with my dad all over. This is almost to Brush Creek on Marcola Road. We used to come back here and hunt and drive all these roads, and then we'd go back to my grandma and grandpa's house up here where my brother Gary lives now, and my grandma would always have lunch for us. Eat a hot lunch, we go right back out and hunt until dark. This is Childers Mill Road on the right, and we went up there crawdadding one time, and Corey disappeared for a while, and then when I went and checked my crawdad traps about an hour later, mysteriously there was a big old human turd in my crawdad trap. Corey was laughing his ass off, and so was Leanna, and so was Sean, and I think my brother Gary maybe, and my cousin Darren, but I can't remember, or maybe it was Destry. I can't remember, but I remember many people looking down at me when I picked my trap up, and I was wondering why they were following me from our campfire down to see my trap. Like, it isn't a big deal to go down and see my crawdad trap. They're all looking at me, and I pull the line in, and I see them snickering, laughing. I'm like, what are they laughing about? Why is this so funny? Well, I pulled the trap in and saw a big old brown trout in there. I knew why. Right up here on the right is where I took Carrie hunting. She was a itty bitty girl on that little road up there under the power lines up at that skyline. Anyway, it started raining on us, and I took my backpack off, laid it down on the ground, and she was so small she curled up in a ball on my backpack. And then I took my raincoat off and I put it over top of her like a tarp or so, I guess like a little tent. She would curl up in a little ball, and she fell asleep with listening to the rain tap 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 on my raincoat. Right here's where my Uncle Frank used to live. And right here on the left, you can't see it, but up there through those trees on the left is my brother Gary's house. This is Brush Creek Road right here on the left, and where my grandparents lived when my dad was, or West Brush Creek Road. My dad was in a preschool when they moved there, and they built that house. I spent a lot of weekends coming up here with my dad. We'd come up here, set crawdad traps on a Saturday morning. We'd go and sit around at my grandparents' house and eat lunch, eat dinner, and set crawdad traps in Brush Creek, which we're going to cross here in 2 seconds. And we'd have traps set right here on each side of the road. We'd have them set behind us up there where I just told you about, Childers Mill Road. And we'd run the traps once or twice during the day. We'd leave them overnight, come back on Sunday and pick them up with whatever crawdads were in them, eat lunch with my grandparents, and then drive back to Washburn Heights or back to Lebanon, depending on where we lived at the time. That's Scott Mountain right in front of us. Alex and I just hunted that this last hunting season. Saw a lot of deer, but they were all on private property. Couldn't shoot them. Alex getting the escort from Mom and Dad. And he's getting videoed and he doesn't even know it, so I critique him when I get home. But he hasn't done anything wrong. He really did. He pays attention to all the rules. Like his mommy, he'll probably never get a ticket. Scott Mountain. They logged it up on the second butte, the one that has trees on it still. That's where Alex and I spent a lot of time up there hunting. We saw a couple of does up there. We saw a lot of bucks, but they were just they were across people's no trespassing signs. Some of them even right in people's yards, right by their house, eating. Practically tame. I'm gonna go up Metolius this year, I think. It'd be fun for him to have that enduro. Right here on the right is Crawfordsville Cemetery, where about my dad, my grandpa, aunts, uncles, many, many, many people buried right here. There's a deer, 2 deer, 2 does right there. I don't know if I'm sure I picked them up on the camera, but it'd be just a flash. On Holley now, up there on that ridge coming into the screen on the right hand side, the highest point where the mountain drops off to the right. I took Alex and Carrie up there when they were pretty little, and they both come home with poison oak, but Carrie got it so bad she had to get on prednisone. And just this last spring or fall, just this last fall, I took Alex up there and I carved his name in the bark of a tree and took his picture. Him in the distance wearing all bright orange. Fun memory for him, for me too. I bet his pants are soaking wet by now. It's good for him to toughen him up. I got this owl at a junk store. It's brass. Here's another road right here on the right. You can go riding up here. We go hunting up here sometimes. It goes up what my dad and grandparents called the turkey chute. I'm not even sure why, but oh no, we're coming up on it. It's the same power lines that I told you a little bit ago about Carrie hunting when she was really little. But right here underneath these power lines, we turn right here and go up the turkey chute, and you look down on my grandpa and grandma's house. You get up on this ridge, you drive along the top of this ridge until you're looking right back down on my grandma and grandpa's house. My dad would drop Tom or Ed or both, Crescent Hill Road, that's what it's called. Drop them off up there and they'd walk down looking for deer. There was elk in there too, but back then we didn't even buy elk tags. None of us did. It wasn't until I was just married when I got my first elk tag, I think. It's coming through here. It's coming into Holley. Not much changed here. Same old broken down vehicles on both sides of the road. Same roof covered or moss covered roofs. One time on top of that store right there, this is beautiful if you want to take a right here and drive till you could drive that road right here, Calapooya, and follow it all the way up and come out on the McKenzie Highway at Blue River. Anyways, back there at that little store, was there with Sean and Corey. We were getting ready to go swimming and we bought our stuff, walked out to the truck, and while Sean was organizing his groceries, he got this peanut butter Snickers, and I had it sitting there on the tailgate, and I picked it up, and he goes, "What are you doing?" Before he could say anything else, I tossed it up on the roof of the store and laughed my ass off at him, watching his facial expressions, and then I laughed all the way into the store and bought him a new one and handed it to him. Kind of things we did to each other. One time he took his Mountain Dew and put it in the creek. We were all the way up at Blue River, up at Cougar Reservoir, and we stopped on the side of the road. We built the fire. We were just going to spend, several hours up there playing around. Sean built this little rock, crescent-shaped rock dam deal on the edge of the creek, freezing cold creek. Got it all ready, went down there, put his Mountain Dew 2-liter bottle in the creek to get it cold, or to keep it cold. And he spent so much time on that thing, and we were nowhere near a store. It was the only soda Sean had. It ain't the same thing as me throwing his candy bar on the roof, because I could go right back in the store and buy him a new one. But we were up there at that place in the middle of nowhere. Sean took all that effort to build this little rock dam, put his Mountain Dew in it, and here comes Corey with a 12-gauge shotgun and blew the shit out of it right there. Blew it out of his puddle anyway. All you can see is this plastic everywhere. Need to get Alex off of this road. Let him go explore around up in some mountains. If I could get hold of Leanna, she could take a right here, Rowell Hill, and take back roads into Sweet Home. Would have been fun for him, but she's probably just wanting to get home. She worked all day. Corey's grandparents lived right here on this corner, straight through those trees where that green grass is. That was her property right there. She lived up there, up that driveway. That little building's hers. Anyway, Corey's grandma and Grandpa Brown were good friends with my grandma and Grandpa Withrow and my grandma and Grandpa Pitts. And then Corey and I just happened to move in across the street. I moved in across the street from him when Corey was in 2nd grade, and I was in the 6th grade. And then we were friends for years, not until Corey was in the 10th grade, so that's 8 years. And Corey found out who his real dad was, Steve Brown, and lo and behold, Steve Brown was, him and his brothers, that generation, was friends with my brothers, my older brothers, and my cousins. And the generation above that was his grandpa, Dwight Brown. Dwight Brown worked at the mill at Willamette Industries, where both my grandpas, Grandpa Pitts and Grandpa Withrow, worked. And Donna Brown, when she was younger, when I went to her funeral, somebody was talking about how she used to go down to make sack lunches. She'd have them all ready for all the loggers when she was young, and this was a booming logging town. She'd go down and make sack lunches for all the loggers and pass them out. I'm imagining she probably probably sold them to people, but I have no idea. But it was something everybody remembered about her. My Grandpa Pitts was a stay-at-home mom. My Grandpa Withrow was a stay-at-home dad. My Grandma Withrow